Hi everybody, this is Donna from Vince's Gourmet. Today I'm going to make risotto. I'm going to make one with sweet peppers, and I'll tell you what the basic ingredients are from the start. So what you start with is about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And I put that on the bottom of the pan, and then I'm going to wait for my pan to heat up a bit, and I'm using half an onion. So I have it diced there. I'll just show you real quick how I dice it. My knife skills are self-learned, so I'm just going to show you a couple of self-taught, not self-learned. I made some lines in the onion, and then I'm just running my knife through. So you use about a half an onion for this recipe. So when you do it like that, they're more of a consistent cut. I'm putting in the other half that I cut in this bowl, and we're going to sweat those onions for a little bit, probably about 3 or 4 minutes. You don't want them to burn, but you want them to be a little translucent. I'm going to turn that up and let that cook. Here's what risotto is. Risotto is a rice dish, and I'm using arborio rice, which is right here. There's another one, carnaroli rice. They say this is a little different. They're both the same thing, or they're both used for risotto. One is a little shorter. They say this is better for beginners. A little bit of a starch content difference. Little difference in starch content. It's early. Arborio rice has a high starch content, which is the beauty of the dish of risotto. It appears to be a creamy rice dish when there's actually no cream involved. So as I said, I'm sweating these onions down in a little bit of olive oil. And if you are making one with vegetables, you're going to put those in. I'm using the 3 different color peppers today. You'll put those in afterwards, like halfway through. So I'm just putting like a half a red pepper, and I cut them. I'm going to dice it pretty small because you don't want big chunks in your rice. I don't think. So the onions are like halfway there. As I said, you can see they're starting to cook up, and I'm going to put my peppers in next. And I've got that on fairly high heat, like medium high if you have a gas stove, probably medium on an electric. And I'm just cutting them and just kind of trimming all the gonna season this with salt and pepper, traditional or classic risotto is risotto Milanese, and it has saffron in it. I'm not going to use saffron in this dish. I'm gonna put my green pepper in. And then I'm going to do salt and pepper. This dish takes a long time. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm using about 1.25 cups of rice. All right, that's all in. And from start to finish, it'll probably take me about an hour to make this dish. I won't keep you here the whole hour.
Hopefully you have a good book to read.
What's that?
I said hopefully they have a good book to read.
Yeah. But risotto is worth it if you have, you can be doing something else in the kitchen close by when you make it. It's not a dish that you really want to step away from. Okay, so I'm going to turn this up a little bit. And I'm going to put in my arborio rice. So you put this into your pot while it's dry. While this is dry, no liquid yet. And you're going to stir it around a couple of minutes. Keep stirring it. What that's going to do is it's going to seal the outside of the rice so you don't have mushy rice inside. It's kind of like searing with meat. Same difference. You'll move it around a couple of minutes. You'll start to smell it toast a little bit. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to brown it real hard. I need a little more red. So I used a half of each of a pepper, as you saw. Small dice. And you can do mushrooms, you can do any kind of vegetable, but you want to just make sure you have pretty consistent cuts in it. All right, so while that is cooking for another couple of minutes, another minute or so, I'm gonna turn my heat up. I'm adding my wine at this point. I'm using a Chardonnay. The wine you use is the wine you want to use in your dishes is the wine you want to drink. So if you don't like Chardonnay and you like Pinot Grigio, put in a little bit of Pinot Grigio. Does anybody have wine left at their houses now? You can do whatever. And if you don't want to put wine in, that's okay too. So I used about 3-4 ounces. And I'm gonna let that cook a little longer. And I'll talk to you about the stock. So what you do with risotto is you add liquid a little bit at a time. So this is a 2-ounce ladle. I'm gonna put 16 ounces. I'm gonna put 1/4 of a cup in each time. And you have to wait for the liquid to absorb and stir it around before you add more liquid. When I teach this class, people are like pouring it in. They just want to get it done. And it's not going to help your risotto at all. So this is a patient dish, or you have to have patience for this dish. So I'll show you in the beginning. And I'm using chicken broth. Especially with this dish where I added just vegetables, you can use vegetable broth instead. So like I said, that was 4 ounces. And you can see what I do is I'll stir it around until the liquid is absorbed. And I can hear when the liquid's absorbed too. I'm gonna turn the temperature down just a little bit. And so as the liquid is absorbing in the rice, it's gonna puff the rice up slowly. So, I'm gonna work on this. I'll show you the second. I'll show you when to add the next step. Okay, so I added that first 4 ounces of broth, and here's what it looks like. You can see I don't see any puddles of liquid. I can hear it. It's a little louder, so I know the liquid is absorbing. So that's the point where I'm going to add more liquid. So I'm doing another 4 ounces. This is 32 ounces. I'm going to, for a cup, what did I say, a cup and a quarter, cup and a third, whatever I said. I did measure it. I'm gonna use 32 ounces of broth. So I'll be back when all this broth is gone. Okay, so I used all my broth. And by the way, when you're making this at home, you should heat your broth up and have it right on the stove with you and add it in. Don't do what I did. Although I've done it a couple of times, but traditionally, if you use cold broth or stock, you don't get the as creamy results. So heat up your broth, is what I want to tell you. But I just tasted this and it's great. I tested, after I'm done with this and it's absorbed, what I did was take a couple of pieces of the rice and just make sure that it was cooked through. And it's almost like pasta. You want a little bite, al dente. So all of my liquid is absorbed, and if it wasn't ready, I would have got some more liquid. And the next thing I'm going to do is add in about 3 tablespoons of butter. And the base of this dish, you can add it with minus the peppers, is a true risotto. And then you can add in whatever you like. Seasonally, you could put fresh peas or asparagus. You can top it with chicken or grilled shrimp. And then so I mixed in that butter. I finished it with that butter. And then I've got a half a cup of Parmesan. Again, you want to use Vince's blend, the Parmesan and Romano. You want to use, once you master the technique of this, you can play around with the recipe. And you can see how creamy it is. Absolutely no cream in there. You want to make this close to when you're going to eat it. And then if you have it left over, you can always make arancini, but that's for another day, which are the rice balls. So I'm just topping it with some shredded mozzarella, and I can just tell you it doesn't need any more salt because when I tasted it, it was fine. And then I'm putting a little bit of pepper on it, and there you go. There's risotto. Like I said, nice piece of grilled chicken or a couple pieces. It's definitely a meal. If you want this recipe or any other recipes that I'm doing here at Vince's, email Donna at vincesgourmet.com. If you want to get on our newsletter, you need to email Vince's. No, I'm just not going to say this anymore. If you want to participate in our newsletter, go to vincesgourmet.com and
Put in your email.
put in your email. Did I say my email?
You've said this
correctly?
100 times already.
I know. Not that bright. I can say red leather, yellow leather 7 times, but that's
How's that?
okay,
how's that saying
everybody,
go?
have a great day.
Can't teach something
Don't say
something.
that.